The streets will never make you grow. It's not a seed, it's a gutter. There's no happy endings in this life. So this is my message to you. The streets will never love you back.
Pow! What's up, guys? Okay, today we got another show. Today we have Craig McGuire. Craig McGuire, he is the author of Carmine and the 13th Avenue Boys. This book actually just, I think, came out today. We're going to put Craig on in a couple minutes, and we're going to talk to him and ask him some questions about this book. It's supposed to be a book about Brooklyn. This guy, Carmine McGuire, I heard of him back in the day, and it should be a really good story. So we're going to be talking to him today. Let me give a couple shout outs to my moderators, people who are in the chat. So far we got 55 people in the chat. Also about yesterday, you know what, sometimes, I mean, look, this laptop, it acts up on me. So there's certain things I don't know how to do. And what I do is, I'm old school. I'm just like, fuck, you know what? I'll talk to you tomorrow. But I appreciate all you guys coming out yesterday. We had 171 people in the chat. I'm sorry that happened with the laptop. Hopefully I can fix this up and make a better atmosphere over here with some mics and some lights and things like that. But Boston J, my moderator, I see you. Thanks for showing up. Carol Fountain, Live and Let Live. Brad R. What's up, Brad R? It's always good to see you in the chat. Tom Clams. Boston. Yo Mama. What's up, Yo Mama? It's always good to see you. Tommy Rocco. Single mom of 4. How are you? Philip Ward. Stephen Love. And to all you people that showed up today to come out and sit down with us, I appreciate it very much. Gerard. S.J. Sharks. Rosemary Piccolo. Roderick Molina. Okay, to all you people in the chat, thank you. I appreciate you guys. Now, I got Craig McGuire here. He's going to tell us about this book. It's called Carmine and the 13th Avenue Boys. Okay, so, I mean, the sounds of it, it seems like it's going to be a really good book. This is the book, Carmine and the 13th Avenue Boys. Dyker Heights Boulevard, 13th Avenue, Surviving Brooklyn's Colombo Mob by Craig McGuire and Carmine McGuire. Now, just to let you guys know, Carmine McGuire is a co-author of this book. The book is about his story. He's one of the guys that grew up on 13th Avenue, and he has a story behind him. I also think that he cooperated. I'm not sure if he's in witness protection, but stuff like that. But he won't be on here tonight, but he has a good story behind him. Maybe in the future we'll get to talk to Carmine. I guess that's up to him. But I'm going to put Craig on, and let's get Craig in here and talk to Craig. And let's see what made him write this book. What's up, Craig?
Hey,
how's everything?
Great.
Good. Hey, you know what? It's good to talk to you. It's good to meet you. And, you know, you wrote this book, Carmine and the 13th Avenue Boys. I mean, it seems like it's going to be a really good book because it's about a kid growing up in Brooklyn, you know, and it's a similar story to other kids growing up in Brooklyn. You know, you lose a lot of friends, you end up in prison, a lot of guys cooperate, has a lot of mobs in it. I'm saying a lot of mobsters, some murders, and things like that. And Carmine McGuire, I heard of him back in the day. I know he was a tough kid, and I think he cooperated.
Correct.
He cooperated, just like a lot of people in Brooklyn. You know, listen, hey, you walk down that road, and you don't realize who you are until later on in life when you grow up. You know, you have your back against the wall, and you don't want to throw your life away. you know, and you know, I could relate to him. I understand, you know. So what made you write this book?
Great question. I'm Detective Tommy Gates. Put me together. So I'm getting back here. Detective Tommy Gates, who you know, put me together with Carmine about 2.5 years ago. I worked on a previous book project with Tommy. And he trusted me. He thought he's been in touch with Carmine. He actually knows Carmine since they were younger. So there's an interesting story there. Tommy wrote the intro to the book, and from the very first conversation I had with Carmine, I knew it was going to be a winning combination. Just a very charismatic, likable guy. The one thing about the book is it's a collection of stories. You know, it's not the expert history on the Colombo family or on the Third Colombo War. It's just a rich collection of true crime stories about Carmine growing up in the neighborhood, and then his involvement in the rackets. And it's really a street-level view. A lot of the mechanics of the hustler on 13th Avenue. He was active from the mid-'70s up through the late 80s, early 90s when he did cooperate.
Yeah. I have a little echo on your end. I just want to fix something quick.
Sure.
Yeah, just hang in there for a minute. Okay. That should be... How about now? That should be good.
Okay. Yeah, okay. That sounds better. Much better.
Yeah, a lot better. There you go. Okay, guys. Thanks for letting me know about that, guys. Great. Gary Monteleone, I see you. Thanks for showing up. Now, the thing is, Nikki Blade, I see you. Now, you corroborated this story with Carmine.
Correct.
Well, obviously, you can't tell us what Carmine is. And a lot of people are interested in Carmine because, you know what, anyone you write a book about, the people are interested in that character, So is this the first book you wrote?
This is actually my third book, my second true crime book. I also wrote Brooklyn's Most Wanted, which is a compendium of, top criminals, wise guys, and hustlers from the County of Kings. But this is my first project focusing on a single character. And it was really fascinating for me because I grew up on 16th Avenue. Carmine was born in 57. I was born in 71. So a lot of the time when he was really active in the area, I was a teenager. So I'm very familiar with the setting. So a lot of your audience, from Brooklyn, will recognize a lot of the scenes, a lot of the settings, and it was sort of a passion project for me. And Carmine was just fantastic with so many stories. There's so much material that didn't make it into the book just because it was just a wealth of stories and characters and settings. And interestingly, as we went through the process, he found even more material. Even up until last week, he found a whole bag of material. So it has a lot of legs in it. But it really follows Carmine from really as a teenager on 13th Avenue, playing stickball, street ball. He was in the Brooklyn Concrete Tackle League in Dyker Heights, up through his involvement in the rackets early on. And Jimmy, this is a great period piece because Carmine was a valet at Pastels at the height of its, of the action over there. So he was also a credit card thief at a time when that really started to explode.
A lot of credit card fraud going on at that time.
Amazing. I mean, he had some remarkable stories about that. And, it's true. He says in the book how, if they really wanted to stop it at the time, they should have hired Carmine and some of the other guys on 13th Avenue as consultants because they had so many different scams going on to be able to exploit the system.
Now, the thing is, look, 13th Avenue is a rough area. If you're an Italian kid growing up on 13th Avenue, at this time, I think you had the Scarpas, right? Gregory Scarpa, Greg Jr. I mean, these guys were a ruthless crew. You know, you had the Wimpy Boys. I mean, he grew up around them, no?
Correct. And he had a big rivalry with Greg Scarpa. He rubbed him the wrong way. He was actually aligned with Carmine Sessa. And Carmine Sessa actually brought Carmine into his circle. So Carmine was more of a Nettie's bar guy. But he was, you know, he did interact with Scarpa, and he had several run-ins with him, which we explore in the book. And ultimately, that was one of the reasons why Carmine did turn, because there were two separate, you know, murder plots out on Carmine's life. One with Scarpa and Larry Mazza, and then the other with Carmine Sessa's brother. And some of the guys closest to him in the crew were trying to murder him. And when he found out about that, you know, he was actually he was arrested, and he was either facing, you know, RICO charges, and he was looking at life imprisonment or to go back out on the street. And they already had on tape, you know, two separate murder plots on him. So it's pretty chilling.
Yeah. So eventually they wanted to kill him.
Correct. And while this was going on, sorry to interrupt you. While this was going on, he went back out on the street and he wore a wire and did record, you know, for quite a long time. And he was able to provide the justification to plant a bug in Joey Brain's Ambrosino's car. And the recordings they got from that bug really unlocked a whole other avenues for investigators.
And he's another guy who cooperated.
Correct, because the wire that Carmine was wearing. Carmine had a great story too. You know, he used to do a warm up for each time he wore a wire, singing Frank Sinatra. So on all of his recordings.
Well, you know what? Obviously, look, he had a lot of balls to wear wire, right?
Yes.
I mean, call him what you want. I mean, all the people out there could call him this, call him that. But the thing is, you know what? Look, I never wore wire in my life. I mean, it's a scary thing. And just to wear wire and like go up to a gangster and let him talk about some crimes and stuff like that. I mean, that's very ballsy.
There was one episode where there was I think Joey Ambrosino's daughter. I think it may have been a christening or a birthday party he attended, and she spilled water on his shirt. And then Joey Brain's wife wanted to, and he was wearing the wire, wanted to take the shirt off and put it in the dryer, and he was able to get out of that, you know, without anyone detecting him. So
now was he involved in any murders?
That's one thing that also attracted me to this project. He was not involved in any murders, and you know, when you go through witness protection, they vet everything. He was involved in a lot of crimes, but he never did murder anyone, and he wasn't involved in any homicides.
And this might be a case going back. What year was this?
This is the height of the Colombo War was late 80s, early 90s.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember a lot of guys cooperate back then. You also had Billy Millie. He was a wimpy boy. You had a whole bunch of people cooperate at that time, you know. And you know, these guys were serious guys, the wimpy boys. You know, they were killing people left and right. And you know, back then, listen, people were getting killed for no reason. You know, just they could kill you, and then after they kill you, they call you a rat. I'm saying they make you look bad. Maybe they'll tell somebody you slept with somebody's wife. They have an excuse. They could kill a good guy, and that's what they do. You know. But so when's this book drop?
It came out today. I just got my copy. I'm so thrilled.
Well, how many pages?
It's about 340 pages with pictures and citations.
Oh, nice. So where can they pick up this book?
You can get it on Amazon.
Amazon. There you go. How much is it?
Hardcover is 21. Paperback is 18, and they have a Kindle version for a couple of bucks.
There you go. So you guys heard it. You can pick it up on Amazon. If you're interested, it's going to be a really good read. You got to check it out. And so Carmine was a credit card racketeer.
Among other things, you know, it's interesting as he got into it. He logged his first arrest at 15, sticking up a pimp in Coney Island. So then if you think if you've been to Coney Island recently and you think about how it's changed, you know, Also, he used to run football sheets, and then he was a bookie as well, and then graduated into loan sharking. He was heavily into loan sharking and some armed robbery, and that's pretty and credit card rackets. But Tommy Dates puts it perfectly. Around that time, I mean, you had 150 guys over there just every day crawling all over 13th Avenue doing the same thing, just constant hustle.
Yeah, back then you had a lot of crazy crews running around. I tell you, Carmine McGuire, he's lucky to be alive. Seriously. I mean, back then, if you got away from Gregory Scarpa and the Wimpy Boys, you were pretty lucky because they were killing everything at that time. But tell me a little bit about yourself. So you say you're from 16th Avenue. Are you still in New York?
I actually moved to Staten Island in my 30s, and now I'm out in New Jersey. But I'm back there all the time, especially to go to pastry shops, to eat, visit. There's a lot of old friends.
So do you write full time?
Yes. So I'm not a wise guy. I'm not a tough guy. I'm just a regular Brooklyn guy. Grew up on 77th Street, 16th Avenue. I wrote for the Bay News for many years and Bay Ridge Courier, journalist. Now, book writing, screenplays, number of other different things as well.
Oh, beautiful. So what else do we have to cover on this book? Any others exciting?
There's, one of the most attractive things about this was the setting. Tommy wrote the intro for the book, and he discusses how this was like a unique, melting pot epicenter for organized crime. You had all 5 families active. I know I've listened to several of your podcasts. There's a lot of commonalities there. Heavily recruiting for young, restless men. Going on.
That's how. Yeah. That's how it is in my neighborhood. It's a recruitment center for young boys. And eventually, as you're coming up and you're growing up and you're hanging out with your friends, these older guys put an arm around you and they curry your favor. You want to curry their favor, and you want to do something for them because the wise guys, the powerful, there's somebody in the neighborhood and you want to be like them. Back in my neighborhood growing up, there was never people who wanted to be president of the United States or a prosecutor in Brooklyn. Everybody wanted to be a gangster, and this is what caused a lot of kids, growing up, getting murdered, going to prison, and never even making it to the age of 21 years old. And these are the neighborhoods we're talking about: 13th Avenue, Beth Avenue, 11th Avenue, Avenue U, Avenue X, downtown Brooklyn. I mean, all these neighborhoods are saturated with the mob, the Italian mob,
Carmine covers that a lot, and a lot of similarities to your story. How seductive the lifestyle was, and some great stories about when he was valeting outside of Pastels. It gave him great visibility, so he was able to do a lot of favors. So he started out doing favors for a lot of the wise guys on the avenue, and then there's just so much activity, and you're making money and you're in the life, and he's not really looking to be a ruthless wise guy. He's not looking to hurt people. He's looking to make money. He's looking to advance himself. And then it just snowballs, and then it led to one episode where he got into a beef in a bar with a maid Colombo, and that was it. Everybody turned their back on him, and he would have been murdered if somebody didn't put his name in. And that's where Carmine Sessa pulled him in, and that was it. And it happened so fast, and then there was no getting out, so it was just snowballed from there.
Well, we got Enzo Romano. Jimmy, this interview is great. Definitely going to buy the book. So you got one buyer. And we actually got 284 people in the chat. So I'm sure you're going to get a few people. I see a couple comments. You know what? I definitely want to get that book. So we have some people out here, they're going to pick up the book. So good for you. And you know what? I think you're going to do very well with this book because it's another Brooklyn story, New York story about the streets. And you know what? It's a similar story to my story and other people's story about, young kids coming up, and we come from good families. And you know what? Eventually, there's a beginning and there's an end. There's a fun time in the street. You're having fun. You're hanging out with these wise guys. You're committing credit card fraud. You're committing a homicide. You're robbing a bank. And then eventually, you know what? All the fun comes to an end. You know, you got to be held accountable for what you did in your life. And, you know, then you realize, you know what? The people that were your friends, they weren't really your friends, you know, and then you got to make a decision for yourself. And that's the truth.
Well said. You know, the common themes here are, you know, one thing I noticed about Carmine different is, you know, the family. He came from a great family, you know, and he's still married, you know, in the protection program now, but still, you know, relocated, and you know, his wife stuck by him the whole time. Great kids, and you know, integrity meant a lot to him, even though, you know, he was a racketeer and he was involved with a lot of activity. He had a lot of integrity, and that's why what attracted a lot of these different crew chiefs and who wanted to bring Carmine in, aside from just being he was a solid earner and he was a tough guy. So
yeah, and eventually, like you said, now he's a married man with children, right?
Yeah, and you know, he had the children all along. So you know, when he went into the program, it was a big decision. It wasn't just him; it was the whole family. And the book also covers that. You know, there's a lot of humanity, a lot of humor in his story. It's not parody. It's not like My Blue Heaven, but there is a lot of humor. Like, you know, and we do cover some of that. He's very, very private. But there was a great story about out in the middle of the Midwest, and he's since moved on, but you know, out in the middle of the Midwest, want to do something for the family. They've been through so much trauma, and it was Christmas time. So, you know, what do you do at Christmas time when you're from Dyker, right? You just you layer your house up in lights. So he put a lot of lights on his house, and he not really realizing that, you know, the local news station showed up, and there were cars parked around the block, and then the federal marshals heard about that, and he got into a little bit of trouble for that. But it's that whole Brooklyn mentality that he brought out there, which is fascinating.
You know what? And that is wherever you go. You know what I mean? A Brooklyn guy, a Bronx guy, a New York guy, wherever you go, and you know what, you go into some kind of program, stuff like that, you're gonna catch yourself every so often, you know. But we got Patty Vignat Piano. Grew up with the McGuire family. They are wonderful people. Will buy the book for sure. So I see a lot of good comments over here about this book. So I'm sure you're going to do very good with it. You know, a lot of people are going to buy it. And what else? How about anything about Larry Messer in the book?
Very little, you know. So much of this has been covered in so very well done by some other books, and we do cite a lot because we want to make sure we got it right. But not so much interaction with Larry Mazza. It was a lot more with Joey Brains and one thing. Joe Brewster was one of his mentors. And one of the turning points in his life where he really started to wake up to like the evils of organized crime and the deceptive nature was when Joe Brewster was killed by Greg Scarter.
Yeah, I remember him, Joe Brewster. Yep.
And there were a lot of guys, from my understanding, a lot of guys on the avenue that didn't take that well because Joe Brewster was very well liked. You mentioned on another podcast, you know, the Bypass Gang. You know, he was one of the principal guys in the Bypass Gang. You know, very successful bank robber, very well liked. You know, there's a great story in the book. They were out in a club one time, and you know, Paulie Pumps Melly, who was one of Scarpa's underlings, gets into, you know, he's dancing wild, gets into, you know, an argument with a guy, and the guy pulls out a gun. Paulie runs away, and Joe Brewster gets shot twice. You know, and the guy turned out to be Made, and he didn't know that he shot Joe Brewster, and he could have gotten into a lot of trouble with that. And Joe Brewster, to his credit, you know, he didn't put a complaint in, and he actually walked in on the guy while he was in the bathroom one time at a urinal, and he had the drop on him, and Carmine. It's just one of the fantastic stories Carmine has, and the guy said, "You got me," and Joe Brewster just said, "Don't worry about it." You know, it's just stories like that where you really get, it's not you telling, you know, the character Joe Brewster, you're showing it. And then Carmine was really upset with his murder because Scarpa did it for his own selfish gains and not because Joe Brewster broke any real rules.
And you know what? That was one thing about Scarpa. That guy had no conscience. That guy would kill you in a minute. He killed women. Listen, that guy killed a lot of people. I mean, as you know, he was working undercover for over 30 years. So he had a license to do anything he wanted. And you know what? He played God. I mean, either I'll kill you or I'll keep you. I mean, whatever he wanted, that's what he did. And he ruled with an iron fist because he had all these people underneath him that were killing everybody. It was pretty sick back then. It really was. But you know what? I want to get into the part of, how do you go about writing a book? Okay, because that's the interesting part of putting the book together. Okay, and did you publish this on your own?
No, this is through Wild Blue Press. Just highly recommend. Just a fantastic publisher of true crime book. Really check them out. It's really it starts with the story, and this book is 2 years in development. So I have a lot of people come to me, with book ideas, story ideas, and I tell them, are you ready to devote a couple thousand hours, a couple of years of your life to getting it right? Because it really is a long process. And with Carmine, there's a lot of sensitivities. There's a lot of area. We didn't have a lot of the full narrative. So we really had to work closely together at a time when, I couldn't meet with him. It was all through phone calls, through an anonymous number. So I didn't really have any direct interaction with him. So it was just, nights and weekends capturing his stories, just needing it, doing a lot of research in the courts. Fortunately, nowadays, research methods are much easier. There's a lot more online sources. Like I said, there's a lot of great material on the book. I didn't want to rewrite like the Colombo family history or, this is really strictly Carmine's story and his perspective. So it's just a lot of conversations, a lot of research. Tommy Days is fantastic.
Tommy Days is the best for sure. He couldn't be with us tonight because he's sick. He caught COVID, so he's under the weather right now. Hopefully he gets better. Tommy Days, we love you. And also I want to give a shout out to his friend who passed away, Joe Ponzi. He just passed away about a week ago. And, to the family and friends of Joe Ponzi, my condolences to you. But also, Carmine was different. He had a conscience. Mary Ellen Noco writes that about Carmine. So obviously she might have knew him.
I would assume so. I've heard that a lot from many of the interviews. A lot of the activity bothered him. He's pretty clear, and he's not looking to for absolution, and he's not making apologies. He did a lot of good work and testify. He testified in open court in half a dozen trials, put 40 really evil people away.
Who did he testify against?
I know he testified against Brady. I know he testified against Michael Sessa in a pretty dramatic trial. Michael Sessa was after Carmine Sessa was bumped up to.
I was away. Yeah, I was away with Michael Sessa, but go ahead.
Yeah, once he was bumped up to, then Bobby Zam was captain of that crew, and then when he got into legal trouble, it was passed to Michael, and they always had a rivalry from when they were younger men. And then there was some unfair treatment in the crew that Carmine had to endure because Michael was the captain. For example, all the other crew members were charged 1 point on their on their loan shark books on their loans, and Carmine was charged 2. Unfairly so, and you had to suck it up.
I tell you what, and this is something that happens in the mob. Okay, it's called favoritism. Some guys are more closer to the guy on top. So you know what? I'm going to give it to you for 1. This guy I'm not too close to, so I'm going to give it to him for 2 points. And that's a lot of that always happens because it's called scheming. I'm saying you scheme on somebody, but I would like to know more about Bucky DiLeonardo. I guess Kevin Granada killed Bucky because he copped out that, and Michael as well. Is Bucky in the book? Leonardo, Mikey Scars' brother?
Yes, Bucky's in the book. Bucky was actually Carmine's brother-in-law, and Carmine obviously, very was close with him when they were younger, and then after his murder, it was a pretty difficult situation for Carmine's sister, left behind 2 daughters. And then there was a dispute over real estate in the family, which I go into in the book. And there was a lot of bad blood between the DeLeonardos and Carmine as a result of that.
So there's a lot of good stuff in this book. A lot of points in this book. They're talking about the DeLeonardos, Mikey Scars, his brother Bucky, and so this is going to be a really good read to all you guys out there. You know what? Shout it out again, how to pick up this book, because I want you to stress this.
Yeah, please. Carmine and the 13th Avenue Boys on sale, Amazon.com. It's available in hardcover, paperback, and Kindle. Wild Blue Press. Can't speak enough about those guys. Michael Cordova, Steven Jackson, Ashley Kashmeyer, and Kelsey Bowe. Just a dynamite team over there. Some really quality, books coming out.
And to all you people in the chat, listen, I got 313 people in the chat. Okay, do me a favor, guys. Just press the like button for me, okay? I appreciate that. And also, so is Wild Bill in this book?
Wild Bill is in this book as well, to a limited extent, just because he was active then during the Colombo War. There's some great stories in there, about the landscape and the actual street level view of what was going on during the war. Remember, it was a civil war within the Colombo family. But that's just one family while 5 families are operating and all this other madness that's going on. So street business is still going on. And Tommy provided some great color commentary in there about the number of guys who were switching sides, the number of guys who really weren't involved, the number of guys who were killed for personal beefs and rivalries not related to the war, like Joe Brewster. So just some really telling stuff, and Wild Bill, of course.
How about any beautiful woman you're talking about in the book? Anyone that we know out there? Does he talk about that Mary Berry murder?
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. And again, Carmine was very clear. He really wanted to provide stories where he had firsthand knowledge of, where he was on scene. And again, we have so much material. You see 340 pages. We could have wrote 3,000 pages. So just some great, a lot of the different capers. The war plays a small part of it. Carmine Sessa took Carmine under his wing, and that's another thing with all the Carmines. There's a lot of Carmines floating around. So as a writer, it was kind of challenging, and that was an interesting. But yeah, and at the end, they caught Carmine Sessa. They had a meeting scheduled at St. Patrick's Cathedral, and they caught him, and supposedly he agreed to cooperate. He was interested in cooperating in the squad car going down to the precinct. And then some of the things that came out about some of the vindictive murders and some of the activity that Carmine wasn't aware of, that he heard about Sessa, really, hammered home to him that, this is all a lie, that the deck was stacked against him from the beginning. And a lot of that comes out. So like the rules, like you mentioned before, Jimmy, the favoritism, the nepotism, the rules only apply selectively to certain people.
Of course. And you know what it is? See, once you realize you're so far deep in, and you want to get out, it's really impossible to get out. It's either you got to move away 3,000 miles away and disappear, or something like this has to happen where you take a pinch and you cooperate and say, you know what, fuck this, I'm out of this, I'm done with this fucking life. Because what you do is you start finding out and you realize that these people aren't who you thought they were. Growing up and being around them, you think that they're good people and they're in your corner. You know, they're rooting for you, but you realize, you know what? Sooner or later, these guys are going to take you out. They're going to kill you because they're vicious and they're evil people. They really are.
That's true. That is a common theme throughout the whole book. Carmine was fortunate enough, he had a strong network, strong family behind him. His wife is number one supporter. So the ability to transition out and have that, and the family suffered going through the witness protection program. It was very challenging. Carmine, says he feels like he was fairly treated by the government, but still, that's a tough transition to go out and not have that work history, get plopped down in the middle of nowhere and have to cycle through all different kinds of low-level jobs until you're able to rebuild your life. And just think about the pressure on the family, on the children. And, fortunately, they're in a good place today. Some great stories in there about that, though. So, as you mentioned before, Jimmy, just take the kid out of Brooklyn and put him in all these different scenarios and see what happens.
You know what it is? You take the kid out of Brooklyn, you put him in a witness protection program. In all honesty, it's like a comedy show. It really is. It's like a comedy show because now they're going to bring you from spot to spot. I mean, and you're with your family. That's the sad thing, And now you got to change your name. I mean, people don't realize, the things you have to go through, when you come forward. It really is a scary life. It's like walking into a dark alley. You don't know what to expect.
That's the truth. Carmine had a great line. I hope I capture it right. And he said, it's kind of like my blue heaven, but in real life, the marshals aren't going to do the mambo with you. So it is humorous on one level, but it's serious and the stakes are high, and it's just a tough road back. Well,
listen, you know what? We're going to, everyone in the chat, try to pick up this book at Amazon, okay? Carmine and the 13th Avenue Boys by Craig McGuire and Carmine McGuire. I don't want to keep you on too much long. I really don't, think it's necessary. But, if you want to give another shout out, let's do it. I mean, you got 337 people in the chat. You know what? If you get 200 people to pick up this book, you're doing pretty good.
Certainly. Just want to thank you, Jimmy, Tommy, Daves. First and foremost, Carmine and his wife Janet, unbelievable team, just fantastic stories. I can't wait to see where the next journey leads. Again, though, the folks at Wild Blue Press, check them out. Just some amazing content rolling out for true crime fans. Obviously, my lovely wife Anna, you're my rock, my soul. I love you, baby. My three amazing sons, Frank, Jace, Tonio, and my in-laws, Tony and Maria, and my mom, of course, Marie. I love you guys.
Beautiful. God bless. And listen, tell Carmine McGuire I said hello, okay?
I certainly will, Jimmy. Thanks, bud.
And I'm going to pick up this book, too, and maybe we'll have you on again soon.
Great, Jimmy. I'd appreciate it, man. Have a great day.
Hey, you take care of yourself. It's nice seeing you.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, bye. Let me kick him out. Okay, there he goes. All right, guys. Craig McGuire, author of Carmine and the 13th Avenue Boys. I mean, the book hit the press today. If you want, go to Amazon, pick it up. We got 340 people in the chat. Now, last night, I left you guys early, so I'm going to stick around for a little while. And, maybe we could talk about a couple things. But also this week, this Thursday night, what I'm going to have is I'm going to have Brooklyn to Baghdad, Christopher Strome, an NYPD intelligence cop fights terror in Iraq. Now, this guy, he went on 106 search and destroy missions, okay? And this guy's got a story to tell. This guy's a real American hero, Christopher Strome. Okay, Thursday night, 7 p.m., we're going to have him. Okay, and then this weekend, we have another guy, Mike Cadella. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu 4th degree black belt. So he's pretty cool, too. He's got stories. But Miss Can't Be Wrong. Jimmy, I came in last night, and I had missed you. Miss Can't Be Wrong. It was my fault because I actually left early because something on my laptop, I couldn't hear anybody, or they couldn't hear me. But it's good to see you today, Miss Campione. Thank you for showing up. I appreciate it very much. And let's see. So let me see. What I wanted to do yesterday was I wanted to chat with some of you people. So let me see if I could drop the link today, okay? And I'll tell you, you know what? This book, Carmine and the 13th Avenue Boys, this looks like a really good read. And if I were you guys, I would definitely try to pick it up. I mean, a Brooklyn story. I mean, it might be like a little similar to my story. You know, I was involved in my own mess. And eventually, you know what? That's the thing with these young kids today. New York Dad, I see you. You know, listen, we get caught up in things that we think are going to last forever. You know, say, for example, robbing banks, running around with your friends, shooting people. You know, back in the late 80s, early 90s, things were going on that were pretty sick, you know, and, you know, today it's a totally different world compared to how it was back then. So, you know, it's just scary. I mean, I can never ever think, you know, if I had sons, them looking up to these guys on the corner and them eventually going to prison, I would feel like I didn't do my job in life, you know, pushing my kids in the right direction, making them take a sanitation test or something like that. Because who wants to see a kid waste their life and go to prison? At the age of 23 years old, I'm in prison, wasting my life in Lewisburg Penitentiary. You know, looking back, time goes by fast. But as you're doing that time and you're in that prison cell and they slam that door, you know what? You're by yourself. And believe me, it's nothing to be proud about, you know, going to jail. But it's being proud about changing your life around, because that's the most important thing. Making your life better, making your crooked past right. That's what is important in life. Falling down and getting back up. Let me see. Excellent interview, Jimmy. Nice job. Thank you, Gary. I appreciate it. I didn't want to keep them on too long. You know, I just want them to explain who's in the book. But it seems like there's a lot of good stories in this book. You know, some people that we would like to hear stories about. Bucky Leonardo. That's Mikey Scar's brother. You know, I'm not sure if you guys know, but he was murdered back in the day. I don't know the exact year. I think it was sometime in the 80s. And a guy by the name of Kevin Granada went away for that. But that was the Colombo crew. You know, he was a little wild man too, Michael's brother back in the day. But I don't know too much about the story. I really don't. But you know, when that happened too, you know, I heard that you know, Mikey Scars was told not to do anything. You know, you have to leave it alone. And sometimes your own guy that you're with, whether if you're with a wise guy or a captain, and someone kills your brother, this wise guy or captain's telling you know what, you can't do anything about it. I mean, is that something you're going to listen to? Because a real man is never going to listen to that. They're never just going to accept their brother's death. No way in the world. But there's rules to the street and there's rules to the mafia. But all the rules are also broken. So if you could get a sneak and take a shot, that's what people do. And that's what they did back in the day. You know, I mean, look at, for example, Shorty Sparrow with, what's his name? Jerry Papper, right? He's a wise guy. Jerry Papper's a wise guy. Jerry Papper kills Shorty Sparrow on the sneak. He thinks no one's never going to find out. But the streets always talk, and there's someone that's always going to find out. And eventually, it all comes to surface. If it don't come out in the wash, it comes out in the rinse, and that's what happens. That's 100%. But Don Berlin, I got Don Berlin in here. Chris was actually in the teams when with the Marines. I can't recall if he trained down here at Quantico or somewhere else, but incredible reputation. Don Berlin is a dear friend of mine. It's always good to see Don Berlin in the chat. Now, also, SP, have you spoken to Chris Paciello? I have not spoken to Chris Paciello. Chris Paciello is doing very good in life. God bless him. And I'm sure he's very successful. That's for sure, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop a link, and let's see if we could do this again, okay? There you go. I dropped a link. Tony Verrazano, shout out from North Jersey. Hi, Tony. Pat Duffy, Miss Can't Be Wrong. Yes, I do read a good bit now. How about you? Boston Jam Not Offended. Okay. Well, I dropped the link. Tommy Rocco. Jimmy, we all make mistakes in life. It's what we learn from them. Look where you are now. That's what counts. God first. Thank you, Tommy Rocco. Absolutely, God first. Jimmy, was Carmine your age or older? Carmine had a couple years on me. He was older. Now 13th Avenue and Bath Avenue is a little distance away. So it's totally different neighborhoods. In my neighborhood back in the day, if you walked maybe 5 to 6 blocks, you were in a different neighborhood. You know, so you were in someone else's neighborhood. That's how Brooklyn is. You know, but you can know people from other neighborhoods. But when you're from a specific neighborhood, that's where you're from. People say, oh, he's from 13th Avenue. He's from Bath Avenue. He's from Avenue U. Because that's where your stomping grounds are. That's how Brooklyn works, I guess, in all the 5 boroughs. Let's see. Joey Doves. I don't see Joey Doves. Actually, Joey Doves is in Staten Island. But I haven't spoken to him. Hopefully he's okay. Okay, I dropped the link. If any of you guys want to come on, I dropped the link. We could chop it up for a little while. Let's see who's out there. Gerard, where are you? I missed you yesterday. You wanted to talk about something. Come on and talk about it. Live and Let Live. Gaetano Bracco. SP. Tell us some pastel stories. Cheryl A. What's up, Cheryl? Now, pastel stories back in the day, they were great, you know, times, going to pastels, you know, walking in there, having a nice time, dancing the night away, getting drunk, all beautiful women. You're all dressed up nice. You're with your crew. You're with your friends. And, you know, you want to act right. Every so often, you had a fist fight. You had to really hurt somebody. And, you know, there wasn't no rules back then. If you had a fist fight, you wanted to make a name for yourself, you know, because everybody from everywhere came to pastels and wanted to have a good time. Not everyone had a good time. Sometimes people got killed over there. And that's the way the neighborhoods were. Jimmy, your shows are always awesome. Jimmy, your shows are always awesome. Joseph Romano. Thank you, Joseph. I appreciate that. Let's put Gerard on. Let's see what Gerard has to say. Gerard,
hey, Jimmy.
How's everything?
Everything is fantastic. I got the shirt, Jimmy.
There you go. Good for you.
And I got the hat, but darn it, I left it in the other room. So hey, thanks a lot for that. That's really cool.
Yeah. Did you you got the mug?
Oh yeah. The mug's in the. I use it all day long. So drinking coffee, and it's in the dishwasher right now. I got the hat, and the other hat was a real special treat. So very thankful. My wife wanted to wear this shirt. I wouldn't let her.
But didn't I send you 2 of them?
I got 2 hats.
2 hats.
Maybe I did get.
I could have sworn I sent you 2 shirts too.
I better check then.
I could have sworn I sent you 2 shirts. But that's all right.
Yeah.
I'll send you another one if you want.
That's okay. Maybe later. Hey, I wanted to tell you a story about my grandpa. Remember we talked about him before? He
Okay.
used to always play tricks on me.
Okay. Let me hear it.
Well, he was the guy that taught me how to box, and we used to go for walks. And one day I was in his apartment. He said, "Okay, let's go for a walk." I said, "Oh, great." He says, "Go in the other room and get my shoes." And I go in the other room, and there's these two legs sticking out from under his bed with his shoes on it. I'm 4 years old. You get it?
Yeah, I got you.
But they're blown up legs. They're not real legs. They're women's legs. So, but yeah, I always think of that guy. He kind of reminded me of him in a little bit because, I think he had a redemption story too. But hey, I heard about this guy. I'm not going to call him by his title. Well, I think you know about him. He goes by this name, moniker MRE. From here on out, I'm just going to call him Meals Ready to Eat. That's what we call him in the military.
Yeah, well, this is what it comes down to. In the course of life, you have to be nice to people.
Right.
Because what comes around eventually goes around. And,
right.
Things will catch up to you. Everything catches up to everybody. And if you have a past, it catches up to you, just like I have a past. And you know what?
Correct.
I'll probably never live my past down, but I try every day to make my crooked past right. And I act in the
right.
best way I can. Now, the thing is, there's a flip side to that coin, because now every so often I'll get on a defensive. And the thing is, if you smear my name and, talk bad about me, things like that, which you know nothing about my story, eventually, listen, I'm a grown
right.
man. You know what? I'll probably come at you, because I'm a grown man, and sooner or later, you know what? You have to address the problem, because these people are relentless. At the end of the day, it's really good versus evil,
Yes.
and, it's what we go through in our life that make us a better person. Some
yes.
people just grow up with hate. I never grew up with hate. I always grew up with love. My mother always taught me love. She told me about Jesus. She told me about God. The thing about my life was when my mom and dad separated, that's when my life took a dive. I'm saying there was no more father figure in the home. So that was the problem of my life. No father figure in the home. So, that's why it's very important to have a role model as a father figure, an uncle, someone that could steer you in the right direction, because these young kids today, in all honesty, there's no more respect, and what these teachers are teaching the kids in school today, they're teaching them what they want to teach them. They're not teaching them about right and wrong, and anything goes today. You see what the hell's going on in this world today. Anything goes. Our country, unfortunately, is not getting better. It's getting sadder, and madder.
Yeah.
But
that's it, bro.
Yeah, it is what it is. But to Danielle Mazzotti, thanks for coming to the chat. I don't remember you.
Is there somebody else in the chat right now?
No, Gerard, just you. If somebody else wants to come on the chat, come on the chat. Don Berlin, if you want to come in, you're welcome to come in.
Let's get Don Berlin in there. He's an interesting character.
Yeah, Don Berlin. I tell you, but so are you. You guys are very knowledgeable. I mean, you're older men, so you're knowledgeable. You're old school guys,
Yeah. I had the same experience when my father left. You mentioned that something like, I became more powerful than my mother in that sense, because she couldn't control me either. So yeah, absolutely. I learned from that, and I knew that there is no way I'm going to leave my kids and not have a father figure around to help out, right?
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
that was the and that was the thing with my mother. Once I realized I was a greater force than her, who's going to stop me?
That's it. Greater force.
Yeah, I'm looking at the guys on the corner, the guys in the social clubs. I want to be like them. You know what? Who's going to stop me? There's no father figure to sit you down. Like in the Bronx tale, tell you, you know what? The working man is, the good guy, not the guys hanging out in the corner.
Right. Right. Got it. Boy, you got a great show going here, Jimmy.
Oh,
Got
thank you.
great,
So I appreciate it. And
really, really, really loving people in the chat and just good people. I mean, you're surrounded by people smarter than yourself, and that is the best position to be in. My grandfather always said, Matt, hang around with people that are smarter than yourself, listen to them, but don't take everything, right? Take what you need and go from there. But he always said, listen. And, half the deal with winning in this life is listening. And, I practice.
And you know what? That's what I do. What I do is I do a lot of listening, and I absorb things because it's very important to listen. Someone who keeps on talking, they got a lot to learn. You got to stop talking and you got to listen, because listening is very important. It's actually a tool. So I like to listen to guys like you. I like to listen to all kinds of people out there, because they have a lot to say, and I can learn from you guys as well.
There's an old saying my grandfather taught me is, let him finish his sentence before you butt in. And so, it goes a long way to relieving a lot of stress. It goes a long way to becoming, a sharper guy. And especially in situations where I'm negotiating or I'm dealing with a stranger who's a little hot-headed, there's a lot of ways to control the situation without getting mad, because anybody can get mad. Doesn't take a genius to do that.
Absolutely. You're right about that.
I was hoping Don would come on. I'd love to listen to him. I just get such a kick out of him.
You know what? Stay on. I have Don. I'm adding him in. Don.
Hey, how are you? How are you, Gerard? Hold on one
All
second.
right, Don.
Close the doors because the dogs are going crazy. Hold on one second. All right. Yes, I'm on the air, and I apologize here for the racket. Yes, Jimmy, how are you doing?
Hey, Don, how are you? You know what? It's always a pleasure to see you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to see you. And that was a great interview with Craig. He's an interesting guy, an interesting book. I can't wait to hear from Chris. When he's well known. Chris is well known. And when I was in Afghanistan, he was in Iraq. He was a mission director and one, shall I say, cool dude. Under pressure. But he was very, very well known. I don't know. I don't think he trained down in Quantico. I think he was, I can't remember, we'll know, when he comes on. Ask him whether or not he was in the teams. I think he was, and I don't know which color either. He'll know what I mean by that. Gerard knows what I mean by that. So.
Yeah, I'll definitely ask him.
I went through Quantico, and I went to a school in Lexington. You might be aware of it.
Yeah.
And then from Lexington, Virginia to Quantico, but it was a long time ago, Don. Long time ago.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, Quantico, is a beautiful base. It's 89,000 acres, and then on top of that, they absorbed another 14,000 acres. So there's a lot of, it's primarily a training facility, as you know. But a lot of other COCOMs are there. A lot of FBI is there, DEA,
right?
And so on and so forth. So it's really the area where I'm at is really beautiful. Though I'm on the south end of the base, past the triangle.
Are you near the TBS?
No. on the other side of the base.
Okay.
Near the MX and what have you.
Oh, okay.
So Jimmy, let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
So one of the things I said in the chat, and it's kind of punctuates your point, and that is the saying that I said in the chat is what comes around goes around, and what goes around comes around. And the reason why it's always that way is because the world spins in only one direction, and you give what you get. So to the people who I talk about this endlessly, not only with you but also with the big Sicilian or whatever for Chris, and it goes without saying that I'm sorry that both of you are the subjects of all the deranged haters and what have you. But it's kind of like what you talked about before. People do what they do based upon where they're coming from in life, and some people have nowhere to go in life, and this is what they do.
Yeah.
Sadly.
And you know what? That's the thing. A lot of it's not a lot of people. It's just some people. They love to hate. Like I said, I never grew up that way. I always grew up. If I saw someone that was very unfortunate, I was the type of person to help them. To maybe give them $1, or maybe buy them a sandwich, things like that, because I know how it was growing up not to have.
Right.
There was
but I have to tell you, while it's understandable to respond to the haters because it's natural. Okay, nobody likes what those kinds of people do. On the flip side, however, I will tell you that 99% of the people are good. You have to believe that. You have to have faith in the fact that 99% of the people wish you well and what have you. It's the far minority that that are seeking to destroy another person whom they don't even know, which is the ridiculous part. I mean, it would be one thing if you had done something to them personally in your current life that would warrant that kind of abuse. But I don't get it. I do not get it.
And that's the thing. You know what? This is the thing. Look, I came on here to tell my story. I had a couple of beefs with some people because they put me into the thing with Gene Gotti. They said that I slapped Gene Gotti, which I never slapped Gene Gotti. Then they want to make up fake lie stories about you. You're such a bad person. Meanwhile, I got about a dozen photos with this guy. And then you have these other people. They want to attack you. And I didn't even say anything to these people, but they just want to continue to attack you because they don't like you. But the thing is, look, if you don't like me, the thing is, look, don't smear my name. I'm saying because eventually, look, I'm gonna defend my name until I die. That's what I'm gonna do.
Right.
That's my father's name. I'm gonna defend my name, and whether it's whether I have to do it one way or another, I'm gonna defend it.
Yeah, I'll tell you a brief story, and for those of your listeners and others who are come out of the military or the DOD and whatever, they'll relate. There's something known as True North. Okay, what is True North?
Right.
True North, is the purest form of direction toward the north, and you can never get lost if you know where True North is.
Right.
And if you have a moral compass and you spin that wheel, you spin the compass, and you always land up on True North, you're a special soul. And the fact that you've come back from horrible PTSD, horrible trauma, people in your life who have been killed and what have you, and your compass always spins true north. Okay.
Wow.
That's an incredible attribute. For these other people, the haters and whatever, ask them which direction their compass is spinning. I guarantee you it's not true north. It's further south, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah.
you gotta keep that in mind. You know, you'll never be lost if your moral compass spins true north.
Yeah.
You'll
So
always be.
yeah. So this Thursday, I'm gonna have Christopher Strom on.
Yeah.
I mean, from Brooklyn to Baghdad. I mean, this
Yeah.
guy's. I mean, this is going to be a good interview. You know,
It
because
will be. It
yeah,
will be.
I might,
Yeah.
if you can, you know
Yeah.
what, send me a couple questions to ask him.
I will. Yeah.
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 I mean,
You know, and this is a guy, let me tell you, and you can ask him this too. He's not the kind of guy who is hanging around the green zone. Okay. The green zone is around Baghdad and whatever. It's
Right.
behind the wire. It's safe and whatever. It's where the chicken shits go, people like me, and so on and so forth. This is a guy.
I don't believe that.
Yeah, no, let me tell you. This is a guy who was up on the trails, okay, who hit the mountainsides. You know, he was not a kind of guy that was behind the wall and behind the wire. He was a true American hero, a true American patriot. You know, I wish that I had more time to tell you about the story of Rich Higgins. Rich Higgins was a similar guy. He was a SOLIC commander, which is low intensity conflict, and was a similar kind of guy, very, very similar, sniper and so on and so forth. Rich and I went to the Middle East a year and a half ago, and I came down with COVID in the Middle East, which you don't want to have happen. I was able to survive it. Rich died. Okay. He was terrible, terrible situation. And you know, he was very much like Chris. If you ever want to read a great book, and I wish you were alive to be able to talk about it, go out and get the book called The Memo. Okay. Rich and I served together at the NSC, and The Memo is the story of Rich Higgins. I'll send you the link to his site, which is basically his story, my story, our lives together and what have you. But Chris is that kind of a guy, true American hero, a true patriot, and a tough guy with a strong moral compass. That's the kind of guy he was. It is.
Gary Monteleone, he says, I remember when Don had the COVID, intense situation.
Truly. You know, you don't want to catch COVID in the Middle East because when that happens, they just pick you up and take you away and into a government facility. You go off to the internment camps. It wasn't pleasant at all. But at least I made it back.
Yeah, thank God you're okay.
Yeah, exactly. So,
And it's interesting that here we are, all three of us. I'm listening to you, Don, and I'm listening to Jimmy. And, you know, I'm going through my journey, and I'm surrounded by very interesting folk.
Yeah, you know, I mean, isn't that the way life is, though? You know, those are the people who, you know, are with you until the very end. You know, this guy I knew, he was a pastor, and he was at a meeting that I was at in Afghanistan, and he used to always say, God bless you in your going out and in your coming in your labor and in your leisure, in the days in which you're up and in the days in which you're not, until that last day comes when there are no more tomorrows, you know? So you just keep on going until there are no more tomorrows, you know?
Right.
Absolutely. And, well, I'm not going to stay on too much longer. It's always a pleasure to have you guys on here. You know, thank you guys for coming on. And Thursday night at 7 p.m., I have Christopher Strom on here. So, Don, if you can, send me some questions.
I will.
Hit him with a couple questions. I appreciate that. And
Yeah.
Gerard, you too. If you got any questions you want to ask Christopher, you can send them to me. And to all you people in the chat, you could do the same. You can send me an email, and if you want to ask Christopher a question, I'll ask him the question. I appreciate it. You guys will be actually helping me, because what do you ask a guy that went on 106 search and destroy missions? I mean, of course I'm going to ask him, did you ever have to kill anybody? Of course he probably did. It's probably a tough question to even answer.
Probably you just ask him, why? What motivated you to do this? And that's the story right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and here's another. I'm not going to speak obviously for Chris. I'm going to let he should tell his own story. But when you're a professional sniper, okay, or when you're involved with low intensity conflict and so on and so forth, one of the big questions a lot of people ask is, how is it that you can reconcile killing another human being and not suffering the consequences of it, while in the military? And what's so different about that versus the life that you came out of, Jimmy? Okay.
Exactly.
I mean, that it's a very difficult fine line to argue. Okay. But what I will say, at least in my own experience, what I will say is the one is a job that has a moral agenda, whether or not you believe in the mission or not, whether you believe in what your country is doing or not. Those are the orders that you were giving, and those are the ones that you execute. So
that's correct.
Yeah, so that's basically, my view of it. Now, a lot of people may not agree with that, but and I respect their opinions too. I do. But when you're doing something for your country, for your family, for your friends, to defend freedom and what have you, that it carries with it a different moral agenda.
Exactly.
So let me just ask a question and just change the whole subject on this.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about white supremacy?
I'll let Gerard answer that question.
What do you think about white supremacy?
I think it. It's not something that is discussed in the home. So I consider it an aberration of the devil. I believe that these people are malcontented, and they're attracted to each other in some. I guess the only thing I can say is the devil's work, and geez, I don't know, man. I my stomach sinks when I hear someone's that type of a person who could just hate a whole group of people and somehow justify it in their mind, but really those people don't have a compass, and they're attracted to the next best thing. And oh God, Jimmy, that is so ugly. It's I always say, I sent you that little note, right, about the four absolutes, and one of the questions is it ugly or beautiful?
Mm-hmm.
And that's ugly. Is it true or false? It's false. This white supremacy thing. How does it affect the other person? It affects people negatively. There's one more.
Jimmy, let me ask you a question. Why did you ask that question? What
I asked the question because the person that has been attacking me for the last year or so is a white supremacist.
Okay.
Okay. And obviously you guys know I'm Italian. And but this person, he's got some charges behind him. He's got a history like I do. I have a history behind me. I'm an ex-criminal. Was involved in the Bath Avenue crew. Was involved in a lot of things that I look back and I regret. And I have to live with every day. And the reason why I talk about my past is because obviously I do have PTSD. And you know what? I like to let it out. I like to talk about it. I like to share my experience with people. I also have a message to tell the young kids, you know what, don't go down the road I went down. You know, it's not a nice road, you know, to sit in the prison cell. You got to leave your family behind. Your family's always going to think about you doing prison time, and it's a waste of life. So that's my message out there. But the reason why I asked that question was because of the guy who he's a white supremacist, and he's been attacking me and a few other people on YouTube, you know, and he has a lot of hate inside him. And the thing is, you know, I think it's a sickness. I really do. You know.
Yeah.
Well, let me just say this without casting any judgments. I don't know the person, but let me just say this, okay? And I look at this through a different lens, if you will. And a lot of your listeners will know what I mean, but particularly Gerard will know. We have something called the ISH, ESH, also known as the sharing your experience, strength, and hope. And that's what you do. And that's what you do every time you're on the air. Okay. And that's what a person with a strong, you know, moral compass does. They share their experience, their strength, and their hope with others.
Right.
Now, in your case, Jimmy, for what I hear, is a person who is trying to seek reconciliation with your past. And the key word that you just said was the things in which I regret. Okay. And where there is regret, there is also reconciliation and there's resolution. And
yes,
to answer your question about, you know, white supremacy and so on and so forth, this is a excuse me, a stain on their soul, a stain on their soul. Okay. Because of the hatred that burns within them. And that's where they're coming from. That's their agenda. And you have to kind of accept that and not personalize it, because they are coming to you and others with a stain on their soul. And there's only one person that I ever knew who was capable of, you know, removing a permanent, if you will, stain on your soul. And that is either God or Jesus. And that's the truth.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I agree. And,
but the other thing too, Jimmy, is okay. We've got our past, and I have PSTD too. The thing about it though is, as Dan was talking about, this reconciliation is brought into the present moment of each day, where we do good works, and I try to do good works. And one of the things I do is that when I make a mistake throughout my day, I immediately try to correct it, make amends to the person, and then go and do something anonymously. Go clean up a corner of the house or do something for my wife or my kids, and then move on.
Yeah.
You know,
there's an incredible strength when you commit a random act of kindness, and especially if it's done anonymously, you know?
right.
And you know, I mean, I don't know what your listeners or these other people may think, but I can assure you that Jimmy Calandra is not building any mansions off of what he's making on YouTube, okay? He is doing this, first, of course, for his own benefit, but he's also helping a lot of other people. This is not an income-producing enterprise, okay?
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah, you know. So
not yet, anyway.
No, you got a long way to go, but
I got a long way to go for sure.
Yeah,
a long way.
You're on your way anyway. You're on your way. I mean, you've done a lot in a year. But my only point is, I don't know why everybody has this misconception that, as I say, that you're out, you know, building mansions on what you're making on YouTube. I mean, you couldn't even build a large dollhouse for your kids.
No, absolutely, you're right.
Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%.
This is a spiritual work, a corporal work you're doing, Jimmy.
Right.
You know, it's a corporal work. You're helping corporal beings, and you're also working spiritually. Whether you know it or not, people around you see it before I do. I'm the last guy to find out, but believe me, other people see it in you.
And you know
or
what?
Otherwise,
And the thing is, look, I'm very happy and I'm fortunate to have this platform and to have over 25,000 people following me, being my friends and listening to me, and they could come in anytime and they could tell their story if they like. And this platform is also for them too,
Correct.
It's very important for everyone out there to understand this. This platform is for you too. So whenever you want to come on this channel and tell your story, you're welcome to come on here.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
Yeah, and what you're trying to kind of like, and what you are doing really is exemplified by something my dad used to say to me all the time, and it's also said by others as well, and that is healthy people attract healthy people, and sick people attract sick people. So keep that in mind.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So, and there are a lot of healthy people on this network and on the channel and what have you. You can tell from their comments or whatever, So anyway.
Yeah. Well, listen, guys. Hey, it was great having you guys on. Don, I appreciate you coming on. Gerard, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And
you're welcome, Jimmy. And believe me, thank you, and thank all those wonderful people in the chat. They are just dynamite. Especially, not especially anybody. They're all cool.
Yeah. So I'll send you the questions, and then I'm sure others will too. It should be a good interview, really interesting, right up my alley too.
No, absolutely. So I'll be back here Thursday night, 7 p.m. with Christopher Strom, Brooklyn to Baghdad. This guy is a hell of a, he's an American hero, and he's got some story behind him. So he's going to share his life with us, his experiences of going to Baghdad. And the search missions that he had to go on, and it's going to be very interesting,
No, it will be.
Yeah,
it will be. Yeah, I guarantee you. I guarantee you. He's a legend. Let me tell you, he's a legend.
And you know what? I spoke with him the other day, and it was the first time I spoke with him. And I tell you, this guy is so humble, and
right.
I mean, a sweetheart of a guy. But you know what?
Right.
You put that, you put those. You put him in the desert. The guy's a machine.
Yeah. Well, he's a true Marine, and to all the Marines out there, Semper Fi. And
yes, absolutely.
Semper Fi, bro.
Yeah.
And also, another question I want to ask you, Don and Gerard.
Yeah.
Let me ask you one more question before I make you go. You know what? How about a lot of people on YouTube? Not a lot, maybe a couple. How they make believe they were in the force. What do you guys think about that?
I spot them a mile off. You can spot them a mile off.
Yeah.
It's just by intuition. It's sort of like if I said I was in prison, right? You would know I wasn't in prison right away because I don't know what the sounds are. I don't know the smell. You don't feel the energy from the person. So a phony's a phony.
Yeah,
let them go.
And a lot of them, a lot of people are confused by the difference between the COCOMs, which is the military, the Air Force, Marines, Army, and so on and so forth, and the DoD side, which is my side, the black side, or the civilian side. But we support the COCOMs and what have you, but nonetheless we serve. And then there's the IC, which is the intelligence community. So it's the triumvirate of the three communities: the COCOMs, the DoD, and the IC. But and we all support one another. We all enable one another. One leg of the stool could not operate without the other two. But we all know, like, if a person is a counterfeit in the service sector, whatever, whether DoD or IC or COCOM, you can tell. You can tell
them right away, bro.
Yeah, you can tell.
You tell them right away.
Yeah, just like what Gerard said. Jimmy, if a guy's really been inside or not. After about 5 minutes with them.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And the thing is, you know what? It's something because when people meet me and I get to know a person and then I tell that person, because sometimes some people don't even know about my past. And I tell that person, I say, you know what? I spent over 13 years of my life in prison. They look at me and they say, wow, Jimmy, you know what? I would never, ever think that you were in prison.
Well, I
That's
mean,
the same with good vets, man. Good vets
Yeah.
don't go around saying, I was this and I was that. They just keep their
No.
mouth shut. They don't
Yeah.
talk about it.
No. I mean, there's only one channel I'm ever on. That's this channel. Okay. I purposely stay away from others and what have you. But I don't talk about my work ever. I just talk about, things from I try to focus on things from a spiritual side. I try to talk about, common sense ideas and things and what have you. I try to make sense out of a crazy world,
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's my deal and what have you. Everybody's different, so.
Well, guys, listen, have a good night. Thank you for coming on. Don Burton, you're the best. Gerard, thank you so much. And I'll see you guys on Thursday.
All right.
I love you all. Have a great night. Thank you so much, Jimmy. Great show.
I love you guys.
Bye, everybody.
Gerard, have a good one. Good night, buddy. Well, listen, hey, guys, thank all of you for showing up tonight. Listen, it was a great show. I appreciate it. To the love and support you give me. We're over 25,000. Let's just keep on moving up. Let's show these people my platform is your platform. I love you guys. And listen, I'm here for you. Anything I could do, reach out to me. Come on the show. Talk about your life. And you know what? Everyone has a story to tell. Graffiti Mouth, I see you. Bully Whispers, Live and Let Live. Gary Monteleone. Boston J, thank you. Gunsmoke, I see you. Louis Cole, JF Consults, Kenneth Brown. To all you people in the chat, thank you so much. Edwin Jimenez, Gil Coltes, all you people. I love you guys. You guys are the best. Until my next video, I'll see you again soon. And like I always go off at the end, the streets are never going to love you back. Bye, guys.
The streets will never make you grow. It's not a seed, it's a gutter. There's no happy endings in this life. So this is my message to you. The streets will never love you back.